And listen to me carefully, darling. In 2025, being beautiful isn't your power, being confident is. Pretty fades. Confidence that owns the room, the job, the man, and the life. So if you've ever been underestimated, labeled too loud, too ambitious, or too bold, good. That means you're ready. Because this year, we're not playing cute. We're playing powerful. Let me tell you the 7 power rules every confident girl is living by in 2025. And trust me, they're changing the game. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you practice. Something you own. These 7 rules are your new standard, your new energy, your new crown. She doesn't beg for love. She commands respect. Because let's be honest, begging is not for queens. It's for people who forgot their worth, who allowed society or someone's careless love to tell them they're not enough. But a confident girl in 2025 knows better. She's not here to audition for someone's attention. She is the main act, not the background dancer in someone else's love story. She knows that love, real love, never needs to be begged for. Affection that's sincere never makes you feel small. So when she texts and gets silence, she doesn't double text, she doesn't spiral, she breathes, and she remembers. Her presence is a privilege, not a consolation. If someone is too blind to see her value, she lets them lose her. Because the moment you beg, you give someone else the pen to write your story, and baby, she's the author of her own destiny. You ever notice how some people only respect you when you pull away? That's because your silence screams louder than your words. She understands this. She walks away with grace, not noise. She doesn't slam doors. She closes them quietly, knowing that peace is more powerful than drama. When love feels like a job interview, you keep failing. She stops showing up. When she has to constantly prove her place in someone's life, she understands she's already outgrown that space. Picture this. A girl sitting at her mirror, crying over a man who left her on read. Another girl in the same city, same age, same pain, but instead of crying, she goes to the gym, writes that blog post, calls her best friend, laughs out loud, and heals like a woman who knows she's the prize. That second girl, she's the confident one. Because she chose herself. Let me tell you something powerful. A woman who chooses herself is a woman people fear. Not because she's mean, not because she's cold, but because she's untouchable. When she commands respect, she doesn't raise her voice. She raises her standards. She doesn't block him to make a statement. She blocks him because she values her peace. She doesn't argue to win. She lets go to grow. Every day, girls around the world wake up wondering, why didn't he choose me? But a confident girl flips the question. Why would I want someone who didn't see me? She doesn't cry because the door closed. She smiles because now she's free to walk through the one that leads to everything she actually deserves. In relationships, friendships, even at work. She's done being the one who gives endlessly while receiving breadcrumbs. She stops replying to half energy. She stops showing up for people who never notice when she's gone. And the magic? The very moment she stops begging, the world shifts. The people who took her for granted, they start to notice. But by then, she's already leveled up. At work, if her ideas are ignored, she doesn't shrink. She doesn't ask, did I say something wrong? She repeats herself louder. Or she takes those ideas, builds her own thing, and leaves them wondering how they let her slip away. She never asks for a seat at the table. She builds her own damn table, paints it gold, and invites only those who know how to dine like royalty. That's the energy. That's the frequency. Because when a girl stops begging and starts believing, she's not just confident, she's unstoppable. Her time is currency. She spends it like royalty. She doesn't just give it away because someone asked nicely. She understands something most people forget. Time is the only thing you can't earn back. And in 2025, the confident girl doesn't waste it on energy. When she commands respect, she doesn't raise her voice. She raises her standards. She doesn't block him to make a statement. She blocks him because she values her peace. She doesn't argue to win. She lets go to grow. Every day, girls around the world wake up wondering, why didn't he choose me? But a confident girl flips the question. Why would I want someone who didn't see me? She doesn't cry because the door closed. She smiles because now she's free to walk through the one that leads to everything she actually deserves. In relationships, friendships, even at work. She's done being the one who gives endlessly while receiving breadcrumbs. She stops replying to half energy. She stops showing up for people who never notice when she's gone. And the magic? The very moment she stops begging, the world shifts. The people who took her for granted, they start to notice. But elevating me, it's draining me. And I don't do discounts on my energy. She knows how to say no. And mean it. No to the guy who only texts at midnight. No to the friend who only calls when they need help. No to the opportunity that pays well but drains her soul. Because her time is laced with purpose. She doesn't fill her calendar with chaos just to feel busy. She fills it with clarity, growth, silence, hustle, and joy. In relationship, she doesn't play the maybe game. If a man can't decide what he wants, she decides for him. If he's unsure, she's unavailable. She doesn't wait around for someone to recognize her value. Her time isn't a placeholder. It's a countdown to her next level. And if you can't match her rhythm, you'll miss the entire melody. Look at how she handles her mornings. She doesn't snooze. She doesn't scroll. She doesn't wake up reacting. She wakes up creating. She might meditate. She might journal. She might run 5 miles before the city even wakes up. Because every minute is sacred. You think she's lucky? No. She's strategic. She's intentional. She's a time architect. In a world that glorifies burnout and overscheduling, she's the girl who pauses. She'll sip her coffee slowly. She'll say no to that 4th meeting. She'll choose rest over hustle when her body asks. And that's what makes her untouchable. She doesn't compete in the chaos. She commands from calm. At work, she sets boundaries like a boss. She doesn't take last-minute calls just to be agreeable. She doesn't say yes to every task just to prove herself. She knows that overextending is not a badge of honor. It's a leak in her empire. And empires are built by queens who protect their schedule like they protect their crown. Even in love, she's not the one blowing up phones or begging for time. She's not begging for attention from someone who doesn't know what to do with her magic. She gives presence, not desperation. Her time with you is a gift, not an obligation. And if you cancel, disrespect, or misuse it, it won't be offered again. She plans her week like a billionaire plans investments. She balances goals with grace. She'll go from power meetings to yoga mats, from voice memos to vision boards, because she's not just spending time, she's multiplying it. She knows that every day is a chance to get closer to her destiny, and she refuses to waste even a second on what doesn't serve her future. To show up, she doesn't throw on anything just to get by. She gets dressed with the same care an artist chooses their colors. Every detail speaks. Because when she walks out that door, she's not just entering the world, she's making a statement. I am the standard. Even when no one is watching, she shows up like everyone is. Airport at 6 a.m., she's glowing. Casual brunch, she brings elegance. Working from home, her outfit says, I still respect myself even if the world doesn't see me today. That's her mindset. That's her power. Because she knows that how you show up for yourself when no one's watching determines how the world receives you when they do. You won't catch her saying, it's just a quick errand. She knows that any moment could be the moment. That cafe run might be where she meets her destiny. That yoga class could lead to a conversation that changes her life. She's not overdressed. She's prepared. And preparation is never a mistake. It's a mark of people who live life on purpose. She doesn't follow trends blindly. She sets them silently. Her wardrobe is not about fashion. It's about frequency. When she walks into a room, people feel her before they see her. That's not the dress, that's the energy. That's not the heels, that's the confidence. You can't buy that. You become that. There's a power in the way she carries herself. Shoulders back, chin up, eyes forward, like she's already won the game and is just waiting for the world to catch up. And when people ask, who does she think she is? She smiles because she knows the answer. Exactly who I was born to be. Even when life feels messy, heartbreaks, rejections, failures, she still dresses up. Not to fake perfection, but to remind herself of her worth. She'll put on that lipstick not to look pretty, but to remind herself she's powerful. She'll wear that blazer not for others to admire, but because she's showing up for her purpose, no matter what's happening behind the scenes. She's the kind of woman who'll wear heels to a meeting no one else dressed for, not to stand out, but because standing tall is who she is. And even when she's in sweatpants, somehow she still radiates that same boss energy. Because dressing like you're famous isn't about clothes, it's about belief. It's about walking through the world like your dreams already happened. And that kind of energy, it makes people remember you long after you've left the room. She speaks with fire and doesn't apologize for it. Her voice isn't just sound, it's a storm wrapped in elegance. She doesn't whisper her truth to make others comfortable. She doesn't dilute her words to fit in. She doesn't ask, will they be okay if I say this? She asks, will I be okay if I don't? That's the power of a confident woman in 2025. She knows that silence in the face of truth is betrayal to her own soul. Whether she's in a boardroom full of men who doubt her, or at a dinner table where everyone expects her to just smile and nod, she speaks up. Not to argue, not to offend, but to stand her ground. Because she knows that when your voice is a flame, the world will either burn or be lit. And either way, she won't shrink. She's not rude, she's real. She doesn't use her voice to dominate. She uses it to declare. When she says no, There's no trembling in her tone. When she sets a boundary, it can come with a long explanation or a soft cushion. She's not here to comfort those who are uncomfortable with her clarity. She's here to express, to protect, and to rise. At work, she's the one who says what everyone else is thinking, but is too afraid to voice. She'll call out the unfairness in a promotion, she'll challenge a lazy decision, and she'll stand up for the intern no one listens to. And the moment someone calls her too intense, she smiles and replies, "Intensity is what built empires." She smiles and replies, "Intensity is what built empires." And the moment someone calls her too intense, she smiles and replies, "Intensity is what built empires." She smiles and replies, "Intensity is what built empires. Intensity is what built empires. Intensity is what built empires. Intensity is what built empires." In relationships, she's not afraid to say what she needs. She won't play guessing games or drop subtle hints. She'll say, "I want loyalty, depth, and honesty. If you can't give that, don't waste my time." She won't wait around hoping someone gets it. She knows that clarity cuts through confusion like fire through ice. Even in friendships, she'll tell you when you've hurt her. She won't smile through betrayal just to keep the peace. Her peace comes from truth, not pretending. If you cross her boundary, she'll address it directly. And if you don't respect it, she'll walk away without a dramatic exit. Because her silence is not weakness, it's a choice. She teaches her little sister to speak boldly in class, to raise her hand even when she's scared. She tells her niece, "Your voice is your superpower. Use it. Don't wait until you're 30 to learn that." Because no girl should grow up thinking being quiet is the price of being accepted. Even in daily life, ordering at a restaurant, handling customer service, talking to strangers, her words carry weight. She doesn't over-explain. She doesn't talk in circles. She gets to the point. She makes eye contact. She commands presence. People listen when she speaks, not because she's loud, but because she's clear. She's the woman who walks into a room and doesn't wait to be asked what she thinks. She offers it. And when people try to interrupt or talk over her, she doesn't flinch. She keeps talking, louder if needed, sharper if necessary. Because she knows that if you constantly soften your voice, you'll eventually silence your soul. She's been called too much, too loud, too emotional. But instead of shrinking, she wears those labels like badges. Because too much to one person is exactly what the world needs. She speaks with purpose, with precision, with passion. And when she does, it ignites something in others. It gives permission. It gives courage. It gives fire. She protects her peace like it's Prada. Not because it's trendy, but because it's priceless. In a world that constantly demands your energy, attention, opinions, and emotional labor, she knows her inner calm isn't up for public consumption. Her peace is not a luxury. It's a given. Her lifeline. She guards it with the same intensity a queen guards her crown. Because without it, nothing else shines. She doesn't let just anyone in. Her circle is not based on history, it's based on harmony. She could have known you for 10 years, but if your presence drains her, you'll find yourself watching her success from a distance. She's not afraid to block, mute, unfollow, not out of pettiness, but protect. Not everyone deserves access to her mind, her heart, or even her timeline. People think she's antisocial. She's not. She's anti-chaos. She's been through the drama, the gossip, the energy vampires. She knows what it feels like to be emotionally bankrupt because she kept giving to people who only came to take. Not anymore. Now she filters every invite, every conversation, every connection with one powerful question. Does this bring me peace or disturb it? At work, when others are gossiping in the break room, she's in her own lane. Focused, quiet, building. Not because she's cold, but because she's warm to the things that matter. She's not chasing every promotion or proving herself to every critic. She knows her worth and her work speaks volumes, so she doesn't waste energy shouting it from the rooftops. In relationships, she doesn't chase chaos disguised as passion. She's had the highs and lows, the push and pull, and she's done romanticizing storms. Now, she wants steady. She wants safe. She wants someone who adds to her peace, not steals it in the name of chemistry. And if that kind of love takes time, she'll wait. Because she'd rather be alone in calm than together in confusion. She's learnt that not every call needs to be answered. Not every argument deserves a response. Her silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You can't bait her into chaos anymore. If you text her with nonsense, she'll read it, smile, and get back to her day. If you show up with drama, she'll exit without warning. She doesn't do noise. She does peace. And peace is power. Even in her daily routine, she chooses peace with intention. She starts her mornings not with the news or social media, but with silence, coffee, maybe a journal. She sets the tone. She creates sacred space in her day. Her phone is often on, do not disturb, not to ignore the world, but to prioritize herself. Because she understands you can't pour from an empty cup. And she refuses to run dry just to keep others full. She doesn't argue with people who are committed to misunderstanding her. She doesn't fight battles that don't lead to freedom. If it's not aligned with her spirit, it's not allowed in her space. That's a rule. That's a boundary. And she doesn't apologize for it. She treats her peace the way others treat designer bags, with care, pride, and non-negotiable value. Because when you realize how rare a quiet mind and steady soul are in today's world, you stop handing it out like free. You protect it like Prada, you wear it like armor, and you build a life where your peace is the most expensive thing you own and the most guarded. She celebrates other women loudly, not with fake smiles or shallow compliments, but with a roar that shakes the insecurities out of every room. She knows that another woman's light doesn't dim her own. In fact, she claps so hard for other women's success that the echo feels like an anthem. Because a confident woman in 2025 isn't threatened by brilliance. She is drawn to it. She sees another woman winning and thinks, yes, that's what we do. When she sees a woman walk into a room owning her style, her voice, her presence, she doesn't shrink. She shines with her. She'll be the first one to say, you look powerful today. I see you. Not because she wants anything in return, but because she knows how lonely it can be to win in silence. She turns every compliment into a crown and places it proudly on another woman's head. At work, when a female colleague lands the promotion, gets the raise, or speaks up in a meeting with boldness, she doesn't roll her eyes. She rises with her. She says, you earned that. You crushed it. Keep going, queen. Because she understands that every time a woman wins in a space that wasn't built for her, It's a victory for all of us. She's not about envy. She's about evolution. She knows we rise by lifting, not by competing. In friendships, she's not the type to go quiet when good news is shared. If her best friend launches a business, gets engaged, buys a home, or finally heals from her trauma, she doesn't watch from the sidelines. She throws confetti with her words. She'll show up, hype her up, post about it, talk about it, scream about it. She'll say, "You see that woman? That's resilience walking." That's what courage looks like. Because when women cheer for each other, something unbreakable is born. She doesn't do jealousy, she does justice. She knows that there's enough room at the top for all of us. She doesn't gatekeep knowledge, opportunities, or connections. She shares them. She sends the link. She tags the brand. She shouts your name in rooms you're not in yet, because she remembers what it felt like to be overlooked. And she refuses to let another woman feel invisible on her watch, even with strangers, at the gym, on the street, online. She lifts. She'll walk up and say, "Your energy is unmatched." She'll send a hum that feels like a sunrise. She'll send a message that says, "Just saw your work, don't stop, the world needs it." And the crazy thing? She means every word. Because it costs nothing to celebrate another woman, but the value it creates is revolutionary. She's not the girl who secretly competes. She's not in the business of comparison. She knows the mirror doesn't reflect worth, purpose does. And purpose doesn't get jealous, it gets inspired. She's fueled by connection, not competition. She builds sisterhoods, not rivalries. She believes deeply that when one of us breaks barriers, it breaks chains for all of us. Even at her lowest, even when her own life is still in process, she'll clap for you like her joy depends on it. Because it does. She knows that the energy you put out returns multiplied. That rooting for someone else doesn't take anything away. It adds power to your own walk. So she walks with pride, with presence, and with a megaphone that says, "Sis, you were born to shine." Standing at the edge of who you used to be and the woman you were always meant to become. A woman who doesn't just walk through life, but commands the space she steps into. A woman who doesn't whisper her worth, but roars it. With her silence, her standards, her presence. You've heard the rules, but these aren't rules to control you. These are power codes to free you. Because in 2025, confidence isn't a look. It's not the heels, the lips, or the bag. It's a language, a frequency, a fire that burns from within. You don't need permission to shine anymore. You are the permission. You are the yes you've been waiting for. So speak louder, walk taller, love harder, dream wilder, and when they ask, "Who does she think she is?" let your existence be the answer. You don't chase love, you command respect. You don't beg for attention, you own the room. Because your value is not up for discussion. And your time, it's not charity, it's currency. Spend it like royalty, not like someone hoping to be chosen. Because you already chose yourself. That's the ultimate power. You dress like you're already famous, not to impress the world, but to remind yourself, I was never born to be background noise. I am the main event. You speak with fire because your voice carries generations of untold stories. And no, you don't apologize for being powerful. You protect your peace like it's Prada, because what's within you is far too sacred to be accessed by chaos. And above all, you celebrate other women loudly because real queens don't compete. They crown each other. You want a revolution? Start with yourself. Be so unshakable in who you are that no rejection rattles you, no delay defines you, and no betrayal breaks you. Let the world watch you bloom in silence and shock them with your presence. Remember, diamonds are made under pressure, queens rise through fire. And the most unstoppable women you've ever seen, they weren't born lucky, they were born ready. And you are ready. You are not too much. The world is simply settled for too little. So take up space. Wear the red dress. Say what you feel. Leave the room that doesn't clap. Build the dream they laughed at. And love yourself so hard that you never again settle for half-hearted anything. Stop shrinking to fit into boxes you were never meant to live in. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be legendary. And legends don't seek comfort, they seek legacy. As Maya Angelou said, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. Let that be your truth. Walk with the women who walked before you. Rise for the girls who haven't found their place yet. And never let this world convince you that your power is too much. Because your power is exactly what this world needs. In the words of Priyanka Chopra, don't try to squeeze into a glass slipper. Instead, shatter the glass ceiling. And while you're at it, wear your crown, even if it shakes. Your life isn't meant to be measured in likes, followers, or approval. Your life is a movement, a fire, a force. So don't apologize for being fierce. Don't apologize for being focused. And never, ever apologize for being her. The woman who follows her own rules, loves herself loudly, and changes every room she enters. Now go show them how a confident woman moves in 2025. Walk like your ancestors prayed for you. Speak like your future depends on it. And rise. Not because they said you could, but because you always knew you would.